In a prosperous region of coffee plantations lived Rafael, the only son of Vicente, one of the greatest farmers in the region. Rafael was a young man with a serene gaze, a generous heart, and hands calloused by honest work. Educated with rigor, he carried a sensitivity that set him apart from his father. Vicente was rude, proud, and saw the world only in terms of power, inheritance, and social status. For him, blood and the family name were sacred and could not be stained. On the other side of the small town lived Isabel, daughter of a humble and dedicated teacher named Antonio. Isabel had expressive eyes that seemed to carry the sparkle of someone who dreamed big, skillful hands, and a heart full of compassion. Her greatest desire was to become a doctor to care for the people who suffered the most. Her father taught her daily the value of knowledge, dignity, and perseverance, while her mother kept with great care a delicate gold necklace with a small blue stone, a simple jewel, but full of family history. Rafael and Isabel met at a busy town fair. A simple glance exchanged between the coffee and sweets stalls was enough to ignite something deep. Short conversations about the sunset turned into secret meetings by the stream. He told her his dreams of modernizing the farm, treating the workers with respect and justice. She shared her passion for medicine, the books she devoured at night, and her desire to alleviate the suffering of others. Between shy laughs, hands that accidentally touched, and looks full of tenderness, a pure, deep, and faithful love was born. Rafael, sure of his feelings, took from his pocket the necklace that had belonged to his late mother and gently placed it around Isabel's neck, with hands trembling with emotion. "This necklace is the proof of my heart. Wherever you are, a part of me will always be with you. I love you, Isabel, and nothing in this world will change that," he said, with his voice choked with emotion. Isabel, with tears of happiness, touched the jewel and replied, "I will keep it forever. Our love is greater than any barrier." The two lived moments of pure happiness in their secret meetings. Walks at dusk, whispered promises, and plans for a future together. Isabel felt complete by his side, and Rafael found in the young woman the courage to face the world. But Vicente discovered the forbidden romance. Furious at the idea of his son relating to the daughter of a simple teacher, he set up a cruel situation. He invented an old debt of Professor Antonio and covered the amount on the condition that the family leave the town immediately. Isabel had no time to say goodbye to Rafael. What Vicente did not know was that Isabel was already carrying in her womb the fruit of that great love. Rafael, upon discovering the pregnancy through the desperate letter that Isabel managed to send, before leaving, ran desperately to his father with his heart in pieces. "She is expecting a child of mine. I love her, father. We cannot destroy our family like this." Vicente, cold and implacable, replied that it was already too late. The family had left that same morning. Rafael fell into deep despair. Days and nights of suffering followed. He locked himself in his room, barely ate, worked to exhaustion, trying to forget the pain. But the emptiness was immense. The tears he hid from his father were proof of a love that did not die. Isabel, in a distant town, faced the pregnancy alone, the overwhelming longing, and the challenge of continuing her medical studies with the tireless help of her mother. They were months of pain, but also of hope. There Clara was born, a girl with eyes just like her father's, with a smile that brought light to the difficult days. Isabel told her every night stories of the great love that destiny would one day bring back. When Clara turned 10 years old, Isabel handed her the necklace with trembling hands. "Your father gave this to me. Keep it with you, my daughter. It represents a true love, one that resists time and distance. One day, perhaps, our paths will cross again." Years of pain, resilience, and growth passed. Isabel and Clara became dedicated doctors, united by an unbreakable complicity. Rafael, in turn, bought his own land, transformed it into a prosperous and modern farm, full of well-treated employees. He never married. His heart remained faithful, carrying the longing like an eternal mark. Rafael's farm prospered like never before. He had become a man respected by everyone, known for his fairness with the workers and for treating each employee as part of a large family. Even so, he carried a silent sadness in his eyes, an emptiness that money and success could not fill. Many admired him for the courage to have built everything alone, facing devastating droughts, economic crises, and, above all, the loneliness that had accompanied him since his youth. On the other side, Isabel and Clara had stood out as competent and compassionate doctors. Isabel worked with tireless dedication, carrying in her chest the pain of the past transformed into strength to help others. Clara, now a beautiful young woman, determined and with a huge heart, followed in her mother's footsteps with enthusiasm and natural talent. When the news spread that the great farm urgently needed doctors to care for the employees and their families during an especially demanding and dangerous harvest, mother and daughter did not hesitate to apply. Isabel felt a strong tightness in her chest when she read the name of the property. Her heart raced, and old memories came like an avalanche. For a moment, she thought about refusing, but something inside her, perhaps destiny, pushed her to move forward. It's just work, she told herself, trying to calm her anxiety. They arrived discreetly at the farm. Clara, with her easy smile and contagious energy, soon won everyone over with her dedication. She attended 2 children, cared for work injuries, and listened to the stories of the elders with genuine patience. Isabel remained more reserved, working with impeccable excellence, but avoiding as much as possible crossing paths with the owner of the farm. Rafael, always busy with administration, had not yet met them personally. Clara, curious by nature, spent her breaks talking with the employees. They spoke with admiration of the good but lonely boss, a man who had built everything from scratch after a great pain in the past. One day, while helping an injured child at the medical post, the necklace slipped out from under Clara's blouse. An older employee, who had worked there for many years, commented with attentive eyes, "What a beautiful jewel, girl. It looks like something from an old family. It has a special shine, just like the ones the old landowners used to give." Clara smiled, touching the necklace with affection, without imagining the weight that piece carried. "It was a very important gift from my father," she replied, with a soft voice. Rafael, on one of his morning walks around the farm to check the progress of the harvest, heard the workers commenting about the new doctors. Something in the name, Isabel, moved him deeply. His heart jumped, but he quickly pushed the thought away. There are many Isabels in the world, he thought, shaking his head. The suffering of the past still hurt too much to allow any hope. Every night, mother and daughter gathered in the small house that had been assigned to them. Clara excitedly told the small victories of the day. A worker who improved, a child who smiled after treatment, the stories she heard. Isabel listened with pride, but carried a longing that had never diminished. She watched her daughter with discreet tears, seeing Rafael's features in her. The love and union between them were strong, a complicity and family fidelity that had sustained them through so many years of difficulties. The proximity increased the risk every day. Rafael, concerned about the team's health during the intense harvest, began to supervise the medical work more closely. A casual encounter at the care post was inevitable. When their eyes finally met, time stopped. Isabel turned pale, feeling her legs weaken. Rafael felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. The air became heavy with contained emotion, but there were people around. Only a polite and formal nod happened, although both knew that something much greater had just awakened. That night, Rafael could not sleep. He spent hours walking on the veranda of the big house, remembering every moment of the past. Isabel cried softly so as not to wake her daughter, her heart overflowing with fear and a hope she thought was dead. The love, kept for so many years deep in the soul, was still alive and strong. The harvest was the most prosperous in the farm's history. The coffee beans shone golden under the sun, and Rafael organized a big party to celebrate with all the employees, their families, and the doctors who had helped so much during the intense months. Soft lights illuminated the courtyard. Calm music played in the background. Tables full of homemade food filled the air with welcoming aromas. The atmosphere was one of gratitude and collective joy, but for Rafael there was always a silent shadow in his chest. Isabel decided to go with a heavy heart, torn between fear and a hope she barely dared to nurture. Clara, excited and full of life, wore the necklace under her clothes, as she had done every day since her mother gave it to her. During the party, Rafael went up to the small improvised stage and gave an emotional speech. His voice, normally firm, carried a subtle tremor. Today, we celebrate not only the harvest, but the strength of each one of you. Over the years, I have learned that true wealth is not in the land, but in the ability to love, to be fightful, and to never give up, even when the pain seems unbearable. The words touched Isabel deeply, who listened from afar with discreet tears. Clara, helping with the care of a small injury to a child, had to get closer to the center of the party. As she moved, the necklace slipped out from under her blouse and shone intensely under the lights. Rafael, who was coming down from the stage, saw the jewel. His eyes fixed first on the necklace, then on Clara's face. His world collapsed in an instant. That necklace, the same one he had placed around Isabel's neck with so much love years before. The girl had his eyes, the shape of his face, the way of smiling that he had loved so much. With trembling legs and a choked voice, he approached slowly. "Isabel," he murmured, almost in disbelief. Isabel could not hold back her tears. They flowed freely down her face, while Clara looked confused at the two of them. Rafael, with his heart racing, led them to a more reserved corner of the party, under the starry sky and away from curious eyes. There, the truth came to light like an avalanche of emotions contained for decades. Isabel told, between sobs. The suffering of the sudden departure, the solitary pregnancy, the fear of raising a daughter alone, the sleepless nights studying medicine while rocking Clara, and the strength she had to gather to move forward without him. Rafael, with teary eyes, held her hands as if he never wanted to let them go. He spoke of the desperation when he discovered the pregnancy too late, the sleepless nights crying over the loss, the fidelity that prevented him from marrying anyone else, and the courage he found to build that prosperous farm as a way to honor the love he thought was lost. Clara, initially shocked and silent, felt her heart overflow. Hot tears rolled down her face as she hugged the father she had never known. "I always dreamed of you," she whispered, her voice choked with happiness and pain at the same time. The reunion was full of tight hugs, cries that mixed old suffering and immense joy that healed deep wounds. Vicente, now elderly and more fragile, watched from afar and, for the first time in his life, lowered his head before the grave mistake he had made. Pride gave way to a late and silent regret. That night, under the stars, Rafael, Isabel, and Clara truly united. There was no rush to rebuild everything. There were long conversations until dawn, tears of healing, laughs that returned after years, promises of a future together, and the deep feeling that love, tested by time, distance, and pain, had won. Rafael's fidelity, Isabel's courage, and the union between mother and daughter showed their strength. Months later, Rafael and Isabel got married in a simple and emotional ceremony, surrounded only by those who really mattered. Clara gained the father she had always dreamed of, and continued her vocation as a doctor with even more purpose and light in her eyes. The farm had never been so full of life, laughter, and true love. The necklace that Isabel wore was not just a jewel. It was the silent proof that true love resists time, distance, and the mistakes of men. Even when everything seems lost, destiny can intertwine paths again. This story teaches us that fidelity, the courage to love despite the pain, and family union are the greatest riches anyone can have. No matter how much life separates us, a heart that truly loves never forgets. And sometimes, the greatest gift is to discover that what we thought was lost was just waiting for the right moment to return. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and leave your like. Share it with those who need to hear a story of overcoming, love, and family union. Thank you for following.